Welcome to the Fashion Translator. I'm Claire, your host. Together we explore how AI and innovation are reshaping the fashion industry through creativity, technology, and global partnership. For today's episode, I'm thrilled to welcome Sophia Pervez, founder of Rare Sense and creator of Formanova, a generative AI platform built specifically for the jewelry industry. Sophia, thank you for joining me today. Could you start by introducing yourself and sharing what led you to build Rare Sense and ultimately Formanova?
Thanks for having me, Claire. To go very quickly over what we're building or what we've built, Rare Sense is a company that's been working in the generative AI space for about 4 years now. We worked with a lot of companies in the apparel space and the accessories space. But something that used to always come up was that there is no tool that works well for jewelry. Jewelry is very intricate. Jewelry has a lot of details to it. And also jewelry is very expensive. So you really want to showcase your product correctly and accurately. So that's why we went into talking to a lot of people in the jewelry industry about what it is they actually need from an AI tool to be usable by them. And we talked to a lot of people. Based on this input, we came up with Formanova, which is now being used by over 2,000 brands across the globe. It is a very simple tool that you can use to accurately display your jewelry in the kind of setting, in the model that you want. But one thing that, is like our North Star for building this product is that we always keep the jewelry real and we mathematically prove that to you. So when you put an input image of a jewelry item and then the output image that you get at the back end, the AI compares the input images jewelry and the output images jewelry pixel to pixel to ensure that it is being displayed accurately. That's pretty much something about our company. Anything else you want to know, I'm happy to answer.
There was this specific gap with the jewelry industry that led you to build Formanova. Why did the existing AI tool that you were seeing before that currently fail to serve the jewelry industry?
It was basically a matter of accuracy. I come from a background in which I say that if you're using AI, it has to be a very responsible use of AI. The product that you're showcasing on your website should exactly be the same product that the person, your customer, gets in their mail. And that was like the driving force behind building this tool. So a lot of people that we talk to when they're using other generative AI tools or trying to do it themselves, the jewelry would end up looking not exactly what the product is. And you have to be very accurate when it comes to jewelry. It's not just about the price point, but it's also because jewelry has a lot of significance in a person's life. If you are gifting something to someone, it's very significant. So it's not like buying a $5 to $10 t-shirt online. It's about a very intricate and important piece that you're buying. So being able to showcase that product accurately was very important. It comes down to getting the number of prongs correct, the shade of the gemstone correct, the length of the chain, everything. The scale was a big factor as well. If you're it might be stud earrings, but how big are they on a person's ear? So being able to showcase those details correctly was very important for us.
If you think about stud earrings, sometimes the difference is like 2 millimeters from one size to the other. We're very down to the nitty-gritty details, so proportion and keeping things in the right ratio when it comes to how do they look on the ear, on the person, and makes a difference when it comes to jewelry.
Absolutely, yeah. And then it all comes down to your customers being satisfied with what they're getting. So they're ordering online, they're putting their trust in you. If they get the same product in the mail, awesome, everything worked out. But if they do not, that is going to take an effect on your trust, something that you have worked so hard to build with your customers. And then you go into the cycle of getting returns and all of that, and no retailer wants that. So definitely.
I can see some brands, and especially the creative teams within the brand, being still feeling overwhelmed and maybe reserved, a bit pushing back with the use of AI. What would you share with them to make them comfortable?
One thing I always like to say is that AI is a tool, just like every other technology that we have used and adapted in the past. AI is also just a tool. The way you use it determines whether it's good for you or bad for you. So it depends on how you're integrating it in your existing workflows. And also, are you able to get the same quality of results by using AI that you would be satisfied with otherwise? If you're able to achieve that with AI and you are able to get something that you are proud to showcase to your customers, then you should absolutely go into integrating it. And then if everyone wants to integrate AI in their workflows, in their photography even, but some of them are not taking the kind of approach that would get them the optimal results. It even comes down to being able to write the right prompts or use the kind of tools that are actually going to showcase your product correctly. In fact, when we talk about prompts, this was something that was very important to us for Formanova as well, because we realized that the technology was the same, the AI tool was the same, but someone who was writing a very intelligent prompt was getting a much better result than someone who was just writing something generic. So we took writing prompts out of the equation. So now what we're doing with Formanova is that you simply have to input the image of the jewelry, and then at the back end, the AI does everything for you. So we call it an agentic workflow where the AI will identify that this is the jewelry on the person, or in the photo, this is where the jewelry is. Then it will put it on the kind of model, the kind of background that you're wanting to showcase. And then it will also do a quality assurance at the back end. Like I said, the pixel to pixel comparison to be sure that this is the kind of image that I want to output to the customer. Another reason for this was that a lot of people that we talked to, they're like, these tools have XYZ amount of credits that they can use, but you have to generate maybe 10 to 15 photos, which are incorrect to get to the photo that you actually want to use. So we wanted to take that regeneration process out of the equation as well, that you do not have to regenerate again and again. We will do at least our level of quality assurance at the back end to show you a photo that is much more usable for you than something generic that might come out. Again, coming back to your question, something that is very important for brands who are looking to integrate AI is that use it like a tool to make your processes, your workflows easier. But at the very top, you, the human, are the person who is in charge of the AI, and you're the one who is going to use that tool. And the output that you get is going to be a reflection of your input. The tool will always have its capability, but it's all about the human at the back of the AI who's using the AI.
You mentioned image input, but the platform can also work with tag render. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, that is a very interesting feature, which was not part of the initial product launch, but this was something which was very high in demand by a lot of the jewelry brands that we talked to. And it makes a lot of sense to be in demand. So a lot of jewelry brands, they do not want to go into production or manufacturing before they're sure that there is demand for this specific jewelry item. So this tool in Formanova, you can also input a CAD file into the tool, and it will output a on-model jewelry photo of that jewelry item. So this is super useful for your e-com, because now you can showcase what the jewelry would look like on a real person before you actually go into manufacturing. So it saves you a lot of time, a lot of cost of manufacturing the items which might not sell. And of course, on-model photography always converts better than just showing the jewelry item in itself. So this is something that, you know, a lot of brands were very interested in using, because it's going to really simplify their process of showing the product on a real human before it actually goes into production.
Yeah, I think the potential of that feature is huge. If you think about just the design team or marketing team internally, from the CADs to have it on a real person, it already gives you a perspective. It's already more tangible than just having to picture it in your head. So even at this stage, before even showing it to the public, you can adjust, you can tweak, and you can have the difference between what's been drafted and what's been drawn to the real product. It's going to bring you closer to the real thing. And the forecasting possibilities and the planning, you can bring it on your social media just to get a first idea. In terms of like the analytics and how people will react, you can already do some kind of projection. And even once you bring it to e-commerce, you can do pre-launch, pre-sell, these kind of things.
Yeah.
Then all the ways you don't like your minimized return, you can be more concise and even sustainable. It's going to be much more sustainable perspective if you're able to plan your production really to serve the needs, and even going season after season, it will be learning from itself. The possibilities and the potential is huge.
Absolutely. And again, one thing that we like to keep at our core when we're building any feature in Formanova or any product that we're building is always to interface with our users as much as we can, talk to them, get their feedback. Like I said, this was something that came as a demand from the user base, that this is something that we also want to do. And thankfully, our team was able to build that. We're building another feature as well, which is also where you can write text and have the tool design a whole CAD file for you based on the design that you defined through text. This is a work in progress, but this is again something that will enable a lot of people to generate jewelry without having to have the hard skills of using those tools that they've had to learn to use to design jewelry. So now you can simply input, okay, I'm looking for a solitaire ring with the princess cut with a band like this. And then you can also input sample jewelry items that you're inspired by or you want to use as input. And then it will generate the jewelry item CAD files for you. And then, of course, you can take it from there to tweak it or give it to someone to put it into production. So it's like very simplifying the process.
So the CAD AI that would be generated would be production ready, but basically in a way that the factory could understand or the artisan depend.
Absolutely. Right down to the little details that the factory would need. We're getting to that point where just from a text input, we're able to give it. Of course, there will be need to tweak it up. The user might want to change the band a bit, change the diamond a bit, change the stones a bit or whatever. So it will have the ability to tweak it as well and then give it to the factory to manufacture.
That also has a lot of potential. Like you said, I think any tools, even though everything that's coming with AI I'm super excited for all of these. And it's going to change so fast, but the human layer must remain. This will still be a need even down the road. And the fact that all of these things, that tech packs in terms of like, I speak more from the garment industry, but it could take hours. And just by having them done by a human, there's a level of like error that can happen where if you say to the designer, okay, all of this work that is technical, explanation, measurement, and this and that, and you free that from their plate, there's so much more space for creative exploration, looking at shape, being inspired by these colors, and this free time, it gives you space, not only space in time, but space in your brain and in your mind to explore creativity and give yourself like, you can breathe, and this is where the image come in.
You summed it up really well. That's exactly what we think about when we're thinking about this tool, that we want to take away all the repetitive work or the kind of manual work that goes into getting from an idea or a concept of a jewelry item to the final product. So you can focus on just the design and what kind of jewelry that you want to design, and the AI hopefully can handle everything else in the process.
Yeah, I see also great opportunities for brands that would like to bring in jewelry as complementary to their current line, whether it could be accessories or it could be clothing. This could be something that they can add and match to their brand identity without having to outsource an entire different, or to build internally a whole new team to handle all of these steps.
Absolutely. And also, if you think about independent designers or people who are aspiring to be a jewelry designer or launch a jewelry brand, but they do not have the tools or they don't have the whole infrastructure to do that. So this is going to simplify a lot of the process for them.
And I also think that creatively speaking, it opens more door, because if you go down the line of traditional jewelry, like you go to school, you learn it, like it sets you up in a certain path. Like you'll be studying the masters, you'll be looking at how the best creator do it, and this will guide you in a certain direction. You could be coming from engineering, or you could be having a very different...
Some of the best designers that I know never went to jewelry school or studied it properly. It was just like a passion that they went in and they learned the tools, and now they're designing beautiful jewelry. It takes that out of the equation, that absolutely there's no replacement for actually going to school and studying the skill in that process. But maybe you did not get an opportunity to do that, or you're going for a career change now, and this is something you want to do on the side, but you never knew how to get started. So this is something that can set you up on that path.
Definitely. And like the expertise is there, like you're the one here to provide the expertise and be there with not only the technology, because it's not just going on ChatGPT and then typing, please design. It's really there to be a bridge between all the expertise and the years in the industry to passionate people who want to make their jewelry vision come true.
Absolutely. That's exactly how we see it too.
And when it comes to AI photography, how do you see AI photography in jewelry, but also in the industry in general? Where do you see this go in the next few years, and the relation between real photography and AI photography?
I think generative AI and photography in general has been around for about 2 years now. More people know about it for the last 2 years. And some of the things that used to come up in that initial time period period was AI photography is going to finish traditional photography. AI photography is going to take over the whole process. 2 years later, we see that is not true. AI will always be a supplement to your existing photography processes, your vision, your creative direction. I have never been someone who's been like, okay, just use AI and just take everything out of the equation. I always advocate for using AI to be a supplement to your existing workflows, which can simplify your existing processes, get you from your start point to your end point faster. And you are always going to be the creative director of the output images, whether you're using a camera, whether you're using Photoshop, whether you're using AI tools. It is your vision that is going to be translated into the final photos. So definitely, I never put traditional photography versus AI photography. I feel like AI photography is a huge enabler for, again, those emerging brands which do not have the budget to actually go on location or hire the biggest models in the industry or a big studio to get those photographs. But now they can use these AI tools to get photography that showcases their products just as well as the bigger players. So that the focus now is on the jewelry item rather than how much budget you had to get to those photos. Definitely, if you are using traditional photography and you want to use AI to supplement your workflows and to get to results faster, even just have a more diverse library of assets, then I feel that is the best way to go about it. Use AI when you feel it's useful. Use traditional photography when you feel it's useful. Something that I also love to tell people is that this is just a tool that you can use to get to the output that you want. But again, we're in a time where we have so much AI slop around us. So consumers and customers as well as brands are very well aware of what is a well-generated, thought-out AI photo as opposed to something that is just generating just for the sake of it. So again, there is a skill and there is a thought process and a creativity workflow associated with generating photos, even if you're using AI. And now that we're surrounded with so many AI-generated images, the human eye is able to bifurcate that, okay, this is something of created with taste, and this is something which is just slop. Using the tool to get to an output is you're the driver in the driver's seat, and you're the one who's going to generate the best photo based on your creative direction.
Yeah, I really share your perspective on this. For me, I see AI and even Photoshop as just another medium. Medium is something you use to create. If we go back in time, and I'm thinking a time where the portrait were painted. There was a time before photography existed. The only way to capture memories and to capture faces and characters were painting, and everything was painted. And then photography appeared. And I'm sure there was this same debate of painting versus photography. Absolutely. They would say that it doesn't have the same depth, the same texture, all of this. And I'm sure many painters were afraid that painting would disappear completely, but painting is still there.
Exactly.
It will be the same thing.
Exactly. Other forms of creativity did not die down when more tools were integrated into the process. That's a very good example. I totally agree with that.
And it will change and it will be different, but they both have their own place, the same way painting still has its place today.
Absolutely.
If we go back on your business, what would you say right now has most of your focus?
Always, I think, whichever phase they're in, one thing that I try to give the most importance or my most time to is actually talking to our users, actually talking to people in the industry who would want to use something like this, who are already using Formanova, and what is their feedback on how to make the process, the user experience better, how to integrate. We don't like to get onto what we call like a feature treadmill in which we're launching feature after feature, not analyzing does this have any use for the end user, or is it just something shiny that we just want to integrate into our product? Something that I give a lot of importance to is interacting with people, and that there's no AI involved over there. I like to do it on a very personal level, talking to users. It's not going to be like an automated message that you're getting. I want to have that conversation. I want to see you using the tool and see how we can improve the process. So this is something I dedicate my time to the most that I can. And other than that, definitely with the new feature that I'm talking about for the designers to be able to use text to design a jewelry item. This is what the tech team is working on, but I will update you as soon as it's launched.
We're looking forward to it, that's for sure. If there was one part of your business that you could automate today, which one would it be?
I think right now we actually are trying to automate pretty much everything that has been taking a lot of our time, from marketing, from generating inbound interest to testing out the tool, everything. We're trying to integrate AI into as many kind of like a full stack AI workflow. That's what we aim to do as an AI company, because we are fascinated by what AI is able to do in different verticals of your business. But something, again, just saying what I did in the previous question, that one thing that I will absolutely not be looking to automate is interacting with our user base, getting the input from users and understanding their user experience and making that better. So that's something, there are a lot of tools that exist out there where you can like send a bunch of automated and personalized messages in which you're like talking to the user. But this is something I like to do on a personal level, at least to some users, to kind of get a better perspective of how this tool is being used as opposed to how we thought it would be used.
Sophia, you shared a few things that are coming for you and the company, but if there's anything else that you could share, like what's your vision for the next 3 to 5 years?
The thing that we talked about, this being like a one place where anyone is able to be a designer, a jewelry designer, is something that we aim to do for Formanova. We want to simplify the process of designing jewelry. We want to be able to let designers focus on the design part of it, the creative part of it, rather than focusing on the workloads or the repetitive manual tasks of manufacturing jewelry. But I also want to, on a broader perspective, I do want as many people as I can say this to, is that AI is something that you can absolutely use to improve your workflows. Every day there's something new coming out, a tool that you can integrate to improve your processes. A lot of people still, I feel, in the fashion and jewelry industry are a bit hesitant to explore it, or they don't know where to start. I definitely advise them that now is the time. I think we're alive in a very amazing time in history for like mankind. Sorry to go all over the top,
I couldn't agree
but
more.
I feel like this is an amazing time where so much is possible with using AI, which used to take hours to do. And I would always give an example that when Midjourney came around and people were, again, the debate about this is an AI generated image and it's very deceptive or whatever. I like to give my example that I was never able to draw. The best I could do was draw like stick figures. But with tools like Midjourney or other tools like Formanova or any tool that can generate images for you, you can basically create what you have in your mind and create it and show it to other people, even if you do not have the skill to draw or paint. Similarly, for any person who's looking to launch their business, creating an e-commerce website used to be so difficult. And now with Lovable and tools like that, you can do it so fast. It's all about your vision and it's all about how you want to showcase your product or your tool. The difficult work of developing it has been made easy. So I feel like in this time, we're going to get so many new different products and a lot more people will be enabled to create stuff which they could not before.
Another point where I couldn't agree more. So Sophia, there's a lot of really exciting things coming from you, for Formanova. We'll make sure to definitely keep an eye and stay in touch. For all the listeners who want to stay connected and see what's next and the current platform and everything, all the handles to connect with Sophia will be in the description in the bio. Sophia, thank you so much for joining me. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thank you for your time, Claire. It was a lot of fun talking to you today.